Marmite, mushroom powder, and beetroot powder. I'm gonna show you how to make these three from scratch. Marmite and mushroom powder are a great source of umami flavor that you can use to enhance the flavor of your dish. I mainly use them for the seitan recipes, but you can add them to your soup or stew. Some even like to use Marmite as a spread. On the other hand, beetroot powder is purely for color. If you have other functions for it, please let me know. Of course, if you can buy any of these for a reasonable price, then you might as well do that. But with these prices here, I'd rather make my own. So let's start with the mushrooms and beetroot first. You can make them at the same time to save time and energy. I'm gonna wash the mushrooms and peel the beetroot. As you can see, I'm using one medium-sized beetroot, and that will produce the same amount as all these mushrooms, which is about 300 grams. You can use a knife, I guess, mandolin, or this side of the grater. I found this in my food processor. I think it will produce thin slices, and it shouldn't take much time. I'm gonna slice these into very thin slices. The thinner the better, as it would dehydrate faster than thicker slices. There you go. You can see how thin these are. And now the same thing with the beetroot. Now to dehydrate them, you might have a dehydrator. In that case, you just pop them in and let the machine do its job. Second option is using an air fryer. I have done this using the air fryer before, but mine has a 20 minutes limit. So I had to reset it, and this process could take about 2 to 3 hours. So
ain't nobody got time for that.
But if you do use it, make sure to set it on the lowest temperature. For me, it was 80 degrees Celsius. I found the oven to be the best way to dehydrate a bigger amount. So I'm gonna lay these out on a sheet tray, pop them in the oven, set it to 50 degrees Celsius, and keep the oven door cracked to get the moisture out. That's it. Watch a movie or two till they're ready. Check on them every hour or so. They will shrink and dry out, but make sure they are actually dry. If they bend like this, then they're not ready yet. They should come out crunchy and snap when you squeeze them. Important note here, don't let them cool down for too long, because they will absorb the moisture from the air and become soft again. So add them to your grinder and run them few times till you get a powder. You can then sift them and process the bigger pieces again. Then store them in a closed container so they stay dry. That's it. Now you have mushroom and beetroot powders. Before the Marmite, subscribe, like, share, comment, and join my Patreon page. Now the interesting part, Marmite. We're gonna need sourdough bread, fresh yeast, sugar, and water. I didn't invent this, but I mixed a couple of recipes from here and there to get the best taste and texture. I actually went as far as making my own sourdough bread. Look at this. This took me only 2 weeks to make from scratch, from cultivating the starter to making the actual bread. But we're not gonna use this loaf. I'll use the first one I made, which I don't want to talk about. So I'll cut this into large cubes. I'll lay them down on a sheet tray, then roast them in the oven until they're brown. The recipe calls for 1 kg of bread. Mine is about 850 grams, so I multiplied all the ingredients by 0.85. You should see the ingredients on the screen. So I'm gonna measure 6 grams of fresh yeast, and this is different than the dry yeast that you usually use, but they should be available easily in any supermarket. And 9 grams of sugar, then dissolve them in some water. And now I'm measuring 85% of 4 liters, which is 3.4 liters of warm water. And add the bread, yeast, and sugar to that. Mix it, cover it with kitchen towel, and leave it for 12 hours in a warm place. After 12 hours, I remove the bread and squeeze the water out of it. Cover this and leave it once again for 2 days. Yes, you heard that right, 2 days. Unfortunately, I can't reuse the bread. I thought about putting the bread cubes in the oven to crisp, but this was the loaf of bread that I don't want to talk about, so it's okay. After 2 days of the kitchen smelling like old bar's carpet, it's time to strain the water into a large pot. I lost about 1.5 liters of the liquid thanks to the bread, so now only 2 liters left. I'll simmer this on very low heat for about 2 hours. It could be more or less, just keep an eye on it while it's reducing. I then moved it to a smaller saucepan at the last half liter or so, and kept simmering it till it got darker and thicker. Then took it off the heat and made some vegetable stock from 1 turnip, 2 sticks of celery, and a tearless medium-sized onion, aka frozen chopped onion. Chopped these into cubes and added some water to cover them. Then boiled it till the turnips got soft. I actually had to do this the next day, so the Marmite got thicker in the fridge and got this lovely engine grease texture. So I strained the vegetable stock, adding it to the Marmite, and reduced it again till it got thicker. You can control the thickness from runny to very thick according to your liking. And that's it. This really smells great and has a very deep umami smell. Now you might ask, is this worth it? I really didn't have a choice, so for me it makes sense to make my own, but maybe I should double the amount next time. I hope this video was useful to you, and hopefully you will see me using these ingredients in future videos. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.